Polyphonic Studios have been making this game for 5 years. I'm sure at one point it was intended as a launch title. As such, one of the most recognisable brands in Sony's history of console gaming, it is very much anticipated. And as I sit here at 5:30 in the morning in a loft that's about -11, I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed. And I'm not surprised really. For a start, all the hype around the game has been focused on the graphics. Oh, and the amount of cars available. The graphics are pretty, the cars are shiny and realistic, but after all the fuss you can't help but pick holes in them. The shadows, dust and smoke effects are low res and the aliasing around them are really noticeable, and some of the tracks, for all their wonderful photorealistic background, feel a bit sparse. Oh, but here's the winner. You can play it in 3D. Here it is in 3D. What's that? You not got a 3D telly? Oh well, that's you folks along with the rest of us then. Never mind the fact that Motorstorm Pacific Rift does actually look 10 times better in 3D. Oh, and it halves the frame rate of the game as well. Grand. I don't normally like talking about graphics in games. They're usually irrelevant, superficial if you will. Window dressing. What this means is that any game based on realism never ever ages well. If you look back to GT1 today, it looks about as graphically impressive as Pole Position, and when we get to Gran Turismo 256, we'll think the same of this one. Gameplay wise, it hasn't really moved on from the PS1 days. In fact, it's probably less of a challenge than that game was, especially to get your licenses and earn money so you can get more cars. Okay, there are more race types and special events and the B-spec manager mode, which I find it especially dull and pointless. And all the game does to convince you to carry on playing is to give you more cars. More cars. Get more cars. It's basically like a sex addict in a fantasy brothel. First they wheel out Lorraine Keller and you dress her up in a figure-hudding bodice, and when you're just about finished, panting and sweaty, they wheel out Jessica Alba. Oh, and you can dress her up too. And what follows is a cycle of never-ending, ever-increasingly beautiful models to try to satisfy you. But they never will, and ultimately you will come to the end feeling hollow, soulless and a little bit dirty. Because you always fell in love for a fleeting moment, but they knew it wouldn't last, and not one of them ever loved you back. It's a plastic game, hollow and soulless, that has a strange addictive quality to it for a short period that soon wears off. For all the undoubted hard work that's been put in over the last 5 years, not one bit of it has given the game any personality whatsoever.